it is pretty crazy how much of a blatant coup we just watched. And then I've seen people like Democrats on social media and stuff, and they'll call like people like us out, and they'll be like, well, first you said the guy was too senile to run, and now you're saying it was a coup when they removed him. You're like, yeah, both are true. I don't know what to tell you. The guy is clearly senile, and also he is still the president of the United States of America, and there's a process here.
They will they'll say, and it's just, the one thing I can't get over is not that people disagree with me. I assume people are always going to disagree with me. I'm often wrong, so it's like, it's okay to disagree with me. What I can never metabolize, accept, deal with is people's willingness to just say anything.
You just like move
because
the
it's expedient. The capacity for lying among certain people just blows my mind. Yeah. You tell Joe Scarborough, you got to say this because there's some material advantage to you. He will say it no matter what it is. And they're all that way. It's like, how would you describe threatening a man until he agrees not to run for president again, and then installing somebody without a vote? Like, that's a coup.
And by the way, it's totally unclear. And I would say, we don't know for sure, but I would say like the high likelihood is that he didn't ever agree to it until after the letter was out. I mean, look, it is so, you cannot overstate how bizarre it is that a few weeks before the Democratic convention, when Joe Biden had already gone through a couple weeks of all these calls for him to step down, at every single turn said, no, I've made up my mind. I am not stepping down. It's me versus Trump, so get used to it. I beat him last time and I'll beat him again this time. That morning, the morning that the letter comes out, was Sunday. His surrogates are going on the Sunday talk shows and saying, enough with
like
this
an
noise.
Hour before the letter comes out.
They go, enough of this. He's made up his mind. He's running. Even after Pelosi and Schumer meet with him, even after the 90 million or whatever is held back from his kid, he's like, no, I'm going. And then you're telling me the sitting president of the United States of America, a few weeks before the convention, is announcing that he won't be seeking re-election. And this is not done in an address to the nation. This is done on personal stationery and just tweeted out. And then in a separate tweet, he endorses Kamala Harris. And it's not for days later that we hear from the president. Like, that is crazy. I mean, I know so many crazy things are going on that it's almost easy to not appreciate how crazy that one is. But and you could say, oh, he had COVID or whatever. They just get up, I don't know, put on one of those masks that you guys pretended worked for so many years and like go, but he can even be an edited video. It doesn't have to be live. I mean, just like, I know he stumbles a lot or whatever. It could be 2 minutes, but how do you not address the American people about that? And it really seems like, and of course, Cy Hirsch had that reporting on the call with Obama, where they threatened, they had Kamala Harris on board. We're going to invoke the 25th Amendment. But my suspicion is that phone call happened, like the Schumer and Pelosi strong-arming didn't work. Obama comes in, we're going to remove you from office and this will be your legacy. And then the letter is tweeted out already and it's presented as a fait accompli to him. It's all over. And then eventually he goes,
But what does it say? I mean, if the sitting president of the United States, purportedly the most powerful man in the world, doesn't have enough power to run again for the job he currently holds, he's not allowed to. None of it's real. The presidency is not real. Yeah. The president doesn't hold the power. I mean, they just showed us that.
Yep.
So it's then, people are not thinking this through. Our system is voluntary. All systems are. How do they expect us to accept the election results, abide by those results, pay our taxes? How do they expect us to obey when the system has been revealed as illegitimate?
Yeah, well, it's the only way would be some type of escalation of force. I mean, that's the only way to do it. I will say, though, that, much like when the Soviet Union collapsed and was largely peaceful, and was kind of like a really amazing thing. It
was very peaceful.
And now what happened in the years following it was not good, and that didn't need to happen. And,
no, but they pulled their nuclear weapons out of all their satellite states. Yeah. They dissolved the Warsaw Pact. I mean, that happened, by the way, 33 years ago this week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was on my honeymoon.
And there were people at the top who wanted to not let it happen. They're like, no, escalate the force and don't let this happen. Put down these revolts like they had done previously. And ultimately, they just kind of lost. And like enough people were just like, no, just let them go, you know?
Yeah, it's not working.
And so you kind of hope that something like that can happen in the United States of America. And that doesn't mean like a national divorce type thing, which is something that has become kind of a popular thing that some people advocate for. But it does mean some type of like decentralization of power and Washington just having much less power than it currently does have. I think that it is, and I said this to you last time, it's the great case for optimism, is that all of this government tyranny relies on propaganda, and the propaganda is being broken at an unbelievable rate. Things that would have seemed unimaginable very recently in my adult lifetime, like not, generations ago, but just years ago. And we're seeing that now. And people are waking up in a very profound way. I mean, it really is, it is all fake. And more people are aware of that. If you zoom out and go like from my mother's, when my mother was my age to me being this age, it is unbelievable how much more people understand that this is all fake.
And you're right.
Now.
Propaganda is the key. I mean, Joseph Goebbels, not to make everything a Nazi reference, but it was 5'4", crippled, never fired a gun in his life except into his own head in the end, never commanded an army.
Yep.
He was the political chief of Berlin, but he was the propaganda chief. And therefore he was the pivotal person in the Nazi government. He was, because he was in charge of people's brains. And so that you cannot, and I'm not comparing anyone to the Nazis. I hate Nazi references in general, but that's just true.
Right.
Propaganda is kind of everything, actually.
Yeah, and that it's the most powerful thing to control. It's more powerful than controlling the laws or the money or the military.
That is absolutely right.
You control what people think, you control narratives. And it's amazing. I mean, look, it's still very effective.
Oh, I know.
It's not nearly as effective as it once was. But it is still there. And you see it like when people get taken over by the propaganda. It's such a bizarre thing. I mean, it's like talking to someone and there's no soul there when they just repeat back the propaganda to you or something. It was, oh, January 6th was an insurrection. And you're like, I'm not having a conversation with you. I'm having a conversation with like what Don Lemon convinced you're supposed to believe.
Do you know people who've fallen for that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know in like my close circle or anything like that.
But what do you think? I know I'm so far afield again, but I don't know the answer to this. What distinguishes someone who falls for the crudest kind of propaganda, January 6th was an insurrection, Don Lemon's smart, whatever the lie is, from you? Some of these people are smart. I mean, it's not just an IQ difference.
Oh, no. It's not an IQ difference.
Oh, I know.
There's people far smarter than me who fall for it.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, no question about that.
So what is it?
I don't completely know. I think there's something about there's it's like human beings we're pack animals, and that's like very at the core of us.
Yes.
That you stay within the pack because like out here is death.
Yes.
And like so like you stay in here, right?
Yeah.
And there's a personality type that certain people have. It's not, again, it is not about being left or right. It's not at all. But there's something where people have, like there's people who like I disagree with on a lot of issues, but like Alex Berenson is very willing to go outside the pack.
I totally
He's
agree.
like, okay, you want to like have all these arrows come at me? Okay, fine.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.